I'm a failure. Okay, maybe not a complete failure. I've been gardening for 15 years. I'm Soil Food Web certified. I'm in the middle of my Master Gardener program at Colorado State University. And even with all of that, year after year, I still have things that go wrong in my garden. It can be completely frustrating, but I use it as a learning opportunity. At least that's what I tell myself as I'm stomping around the garden. Here are the things that went wrong in my garden this year and how I plan to fix it for next year. Two of my setbacks this year has happened in this raised garden bed, so I'm not very happy with this raised garden bed this year. The number one thing that happened in this bed is that Bermuda grass has kind of taken over. Now, Bermuda grass is especially invasive because it spreads with rhizomes, basically. It spreads with the roots that travel underground and then pop up somewhere else. So it's particularly hard to get rid of. So even if you just pull it, it doesn't matter because the rhizomes, the roots, are still underneath the soil and they'll just pop up somewhere else. Golf courses love it because it's a hardy grass and it's hard to kill. Those are the exact same reasons that gardeners hate this grass. To get rid of this grass for next year, what I'm going to do is pull the grass as close as I can to the soil line, and then I'm going to put a black plastic tarp over this whole bed. This is going to do two things. The first thing is that it's going to block out all of the sunlight so that the grass can no longer photosynthesize and it will die. The second thing that it does is that it heats up the soil and will kill the rhizomes. You want to put the black plastic tarp over the grass for about 8 weeks in hot weather. That way it'll give it enough time to cook those rhizomes. Now, the downside to this is that it will also kill all the microbiology that's in your soil. So after those 8 weeks, what I'll do is I'll add a good soil amendment like good compost, worm castings, good extractor tea, and that will bring the microbiology life back into it. And in the spring, when we're ready to plant, I'll also add more compost and worm castings just to make sure that we're ready for next year's harvest. Now, when I say Bermuda grass is invasive, I'm not kidding. It has spread over to this walkway. Now, to be fair, I knew that this walkway was going to be a problem at the beginning of the summer, and I had bought one of those rolls of cardboard paper to spread along here to cover the grass. And then I also put a thick layer of mulch on top of the paper. Now, what I found is that Bermuda grass is way more persistent than I want to give it credit for, and it has popped through the paper cardboard. So next year, I'm going to put thick layers of cardboard boxes. And on top of it all, that paper was expensive and those cardboard boxes are basically free. So more expensive doesn't equal better quality. So here's the second problem that I had with this raised bed, and that's my eggplants. This is the size of the eggplant that I put them in back in June. They didn't grow 1 inch, and I was kind of dumbfounded about that for a long time. I did soil tests. There was lots of mulch around it. I made sure that there was just enough water, but not too much. And I was stumped. And so I was finally talking to a professor, and he thinks the problem might be the fact that when I built these raised beds last year, I did it with what's called hugelkultur. Now, if you're not familiar with hugelkultur, it is kind of an internet fad right now where you bury logs to fill in the bottom space, and then you put dirt on top of the logs. Now, hugelkultur works great in wet climates, like if you're back east, it works great. The problem is that it doesn't work very well if you're in dry climates. I didn't know that. So the hugelkultur doesn't really work if you're in Colorado, Arizona, Utah, anywhere in the western United States. And it's simply because there's not enough moisture to break down those logs that are buried underneath the bin. And so what happens is that the soil and the microbiology puts all of its concentration on trying to break down those logs and doesn't really care about your plants above ground. So basically, it ties up all the nutrients that are in your raised bed. So how am I going to fix this for next year? Well, I'm not going to dig up the logs. That's too much work. So what I will do instead is add a lot of organic material to this bed. So I'll do layers of compost, I'll do layers of worm castings, and then what I'm going to do over the winter is that I will plant a cover crop of winter rye on this, and then come springtime I will cut that winter rye off and put it on top of the soil, and then layer another compost on top of that. And hopefully that will be enough organic matter to kind of counteract the ill effects of the hugelkultur. So it's actually a good lesson. Just because it's an internet craze doesn't mean that it works well for your area. So if you want to try something, don't just listen to the internet. Make sure that it works in your area first. Did you have garden setbacks this year? Tell us in the comments so that we can commiserate together. And if you like this video and want to support the channel, the best way that you can do that is to head to sunnysidesoil.com, where you can get this awesome "It's Okay to Soil Yourself" t-shirt along with other soil amendments. So this zucchini is another failure of mine this summer, which is particularly frustrating because zucchini is super easy to grow and I'm supposed to be drowning in this stuff right now. I mean, your neighbors hate you because you keep bringing over free zucchini, right? But what happened was that these zucchini plants kept getting eaten by pests like slugs and roly-polies. We tried everything to get rid of them. We tried diatomaceous earth, we tried bear traps, we tried the orange rinds, and we caught thousands of roly-polies and hundreds of slugs, but they just overwhelmed us. We even replanted the zucchinis multiple times and they just kept coming back. That's why this plant is still so stunted. So what I'm gonna do next year is I'm gonna build raised beds in this area for my zucchini, and that'll give a buffer zone between my plant and the pests that are crawling around on the ground. I'll also put the pest traps on the ground, and that will attract the bugs away from my zucchini plants. My final failure for the summer is this patch right here. And as you can tell, it gets a lot of shade. So I tried to plant onions here. Now, I know what you're gonna say before there are any haters out there, that onions need full sun, but the Colorado sun is so strong that I thought that maybe the dappled light coming through the shade would be enough, and I was wrong. So I admit my failure on that one. It was an experiment and it didn't work out. But my strawberries that I planted here seem to have taken pretty well, so hopefully strawberries will spread to the rest of this shady patch. Look, I know that your garden setbacks can be a disappointment to you, but every gardener has them every season, so don't beat yourself up over it. If a gardener tells you that they don't have setbacks, they're lying to you. So just take those setbacks as a learning opportunity. The wins are worth it.